Responsibilities of employers. Employers must fulfill the following duties. Proper chemical identification and information. They must ensure that every chemical used in the workplace is correctly marked and labeled, even when the chemical is transferred into a different or secondary container. Employers also need to provide workers with the relevant safety data sheets, SDS, and ensure that only chemicals that have been formally classified and approved are allowed in the workplace. Monitoring and controlling worker exposure. Employers are responsible for evaluating how much chemical exposure workers may experience. They must make sure that exposure levels do not exceed the permitted safety standards and must keep accurate records of workers' exposure for future reference and monitoring. Implementing operational controls. To effectively identify, manage, and reduce chemical risks in the workplace, employers must put various operational controls in place. These controls include choosing safer chemicals. Use chemicals that pose lower hazards whenever possible to naturally reduce overall risk. Using safer technologies. Introduce equipment or processes that can eliminate or significantly reduce exposure to harmful chemicals. Applying engineering controls. Install systems such as ventilation, containment, or isolation to physically reduce workers' exposure. Following safe work systems and procedures. Implement structured work practices that remove or minimize chemical risks during daily operations. Maintaining good hygiene practices. Ensure proper housekeeping, cleaning, and personal hygiene measures to reduce contamination and exposure. Providing PPE when needed. If all other controls are not enough, supply appropriate personal protective equipment, PPE, to workers free of cost and ensure that it is worn correctly and consistently. Emergency preparedness and safe disposal. Employers must establish proper emergency procedures and set up systems to ensure chemicals are disposed of safely and responsibly. These measures help prevent harm to workers and the environment in case of accidental spills or hazardous situations. Training, information, and cooperation. Employers have a duty to educate workers about chemical hazards, how to read and use safety data sheets, SDS, and how to handle chemicals safely. When multiple organizations share the same workplace, employers must work together and coordinate efforts to maintain safe chemical use across all operations. Recommendation R177 highlights that medical surveillance might be required to properly monitor workers' health and to identify any illnesses or conditions that may be caused by their work. This ensures early detection and appropriate management of work-related health issues. Although employers have many duties, workers also carry important responsibilities. Workers are expected to work together with their employers and follow all established procedures. Workers must take every reasonable action to protect their own health and safety. Under R177, workers are required to inform their supervisor about any issues or safety concerns they are unable to resolve on their own. In exchange for their responsibilities, workers are entitled to important rights. Workers have the right to stop working and step away from any situation they believe presents an immediate danger, and they must not face any unfair or excessive penalties for doing so. Workers, along with their representatives, have the right to access information about the chemicals they are working with, such as safety data sheets, warning labels, and other related documents. R177 further adds several important worker rights, including access to alternative work when a worker has a health condition that increases their vulnerability to certain chemicals, for example, if they have become sensitized. If no suitable alternative work can be provided, the worker is entitled to compensation. The right to receive medical treatment related to risks or harm from chemical exposure. Alternative duties for pregnant or breastfeeding workers to ensure they are not exposed to chemicals that could endanger the health of their unborn baby or breastfeeding child. Asbestos is a type of mineral that comes in a fibrous, thread-like form. It's part of certain rock-forming minerals and belongs to two main groups. Serpentine group. This includes chrysotile, also known as white asbestos. Amphibole group. This includes several types like actinolite, amosite, brown asbestos, anthophyllite, crocidolite, blue asbestos, and tremolite. Asbestos can be made up of one or more of these types mixed together. We'll talk about how asbestos affects health later. ILO Asbestos Convention C-162 and Recommendation R-172. The ILO Asbestos Convention C-162, adopted in 1986, was created to protect workers from the dangers associated with asbestos exposure. The convention requires countries to put national laws in place that address asbestos risks. It also mandates that each country designate a responsible authority with the power to oversee and control how much asbestos workers may be exposed to, ensuring that exposure is properly regulated and monitored. As per recommendation R-172, work activities that involve asbestos risk include mining and processing asbestos-containing minerals, making products with asbestos, using asbestos products, removing, fixing, or maintaining asbestos products, demolishing or repairing asbestos-containing structures, transporting, storing, and handling asbestos materials. Any activity that risks exposure to airborne asbestos dust. To prevent workers from being exposed to asbestos where necessary, the measures should include swapping out asbestos materials with less harmful, non-asbestos alternatives to minimize risks, banning the use of asbestos in specific processes. In particular, the use of crocidolite, also known as blue asbestos, should be prohibited due to its risks. Spraying any type of asbestos for insulation purposes should also be banned, considering its past use for coating surfaces. Exposure limits must be set by the competent authority, and employers must make sure that workers' exposure to airborne contaminants stays below these limits and as low as reasonably possible. If the controls in place cannot reduce the exposure enough, employers must provide PPE and respiratory protective equipment, RPE. Any contaminated workwear should be washed by the employer, and workers should not be allowed to take contaminated clothing home. Employers may also need to provide shower facilities so workers can remove contamination before leaving work. Demolition work that involves asbestos must only be done by a trained and approved contractor who is officially recognized by the competent authority. This ensures that proper controls are used to reduce asbestos exposure, prevent its release, and safely dispose of hazardous waste. Rule R-172 also requires that the competent authority be informed before starting any asbestos-related work. In addition, if asbestos is used in a building, its location and how it is used must be documented. To check whether workers might have been exposed to asbestos fibers, regular surveillance must be done. This includes monitoring the workplace and checking the health of workers who may have been exposed. Rule R-172 explains the requirements for this surveillance and monitoring. If any worker is diagnosed with a disease caused by asbestos exposure, it must be reported to the competent authority. If you find our safety videos helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to stay connected with more life-saving tips and updates.